Josiah Erickson is bringing imagination to life as the owner of Nat20 Sabers. That's right, Sabers. Welcome to the studio. So glad to have you tonight.
Thank you very much for having me, Scott.
Yeah, I was looking at when you talk about creating a saber, you have to be a kid at heart to create a product like this.
Absolutely. So I am a big fan of sabers in general. I asked my wife before if I could get one for myself. She, of course, asked the question, what are you going to use it for? Is it really worth money? And I realized that they weren't as accessible as I would have liked them to be. And so I asked her if we could front a bunch of income to starting a saber business to providing sabers at an affordable price for families.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I was going to ask you where you got the idea from. It came from your own desire to have one and not being able to find it. So what do you enjoy most about your work, Josiah?
My favorite part is seeing the smiles on people's faces when they see the sabers. When we're at a trade show or a convention, people are walking by, you'll actually see them walking, stop, look at them, and adults will turn into little kids again. Just like how you mentioned, you must be a kid at heart. I love seeing other people turn into kids also.
So there are other companies, as you mentioned, that make sabers. So what sets Nat20 Sabers apart from others in the space?
So the two biggest things that set us apart is price and customer service. We aim to have one of the best prices possible. Our manufacturer gave us a great price, so we gave our customers a great price. Our sabers start at just under $100, which is a lot better than you'll find mostly in the market. And also for customer service, anytime that somebody has an issue, we do have a year warranty on the sabers like usual, but we have a lifetime warranty on the blades, which is what you use to fight with them. They're sparring blades, and so if they do break, we replace them free of charge no matter how long it's been. And you can give us virtually any reason and we will replace it for you free of charge.
Wow, that's great. So what you have here, a little show and tell here.
Absolutely.
We were just seeing pictures on the screen as well. So this is basically the brain of the saber. We don't have the blade on it right now because, you had to get through security and we didn't want you to take off my head today. But no, in all seriousness, kind of describe what we're looking at right there.
So this is both the shell and the electronics. Inside every saber is the main compartment. If you actually look inside, you'll find that's built a lot like a flashlight in terms of how it's designed, except for the fact that it has a soundboard and lots of programming to make sure it can do lots of cool effects. The lights can change color and they make swooshy sounds as you wave them around, so they're motion sensitive, and they can do lots of cool things like laser deflection and such like that.
Very cool. How big is the cosplay space for your business? I would think that would be a big part of your customers, right? All these different trade shows you mentioned that people go to, dress in costume. They want that authentic looking piece of equipment.
So it's not as big as I actually thought it was going to be. What surprised me is most of our sales come from families who are just fans of the product, and they want to have a fun family gathering where they spar with each other. I hear from our customers all the time talking about, hey, at our barbecue, we decided to pull out the sabers at night on the 4th of July, and we just started whacking them against each other, having a ball, and just making great memories. There are, of course, some cosplayers and people who are looking to add them to their costumes, but most of them are just the average person who want a quality product and making memories with their families.
That's fun. By the way, you can find Josiah's product on Etsy. If you want to look for him, look for Nat20 Sabers. There's a website right there, the Etsy website. This is where you can go and find the product and order it. Talk about future expansion plans. Now, you're here in Texas, but you got people all over the U.S. that's interested in your product. So what's the future look like for your company?
So the future right now is very promising. We do a lot of trade shows here locally, but we also, of course, our Etsy store ships nationally and even to a few places outside the U.S. We're hoping to expand to other states and get into shows there too. Even if we have to visit on occasion, we do have plans to expand to other places in America and perhaps further down the road, even beyond.
That's awesome. So is this a full-time job for you?
For me, it is. It didn't start off that way. It started off by making it a side thing. On the weekends, we'd do this. But I found very quickly that with all the saber orders that were coming in, We needed me to just make this as my main full-time job, where I'm responding to customers and talking to people, but most importantly, thinking up how we're going to grow and expand so this can get in the hands of as many people as possible.
So walk that, because I know we have a lot of, we affectionately refer to wantrepreneurs, people that are working full time, they have a passion, they want to do what you have done, right? They want to step out and do something that's, we have a guest later this hour that's going to talk about how finding your passion is where you find the heart of your work. You've done that, right? This is a passion of yours, beyond a hobby, something you really enjoy, and now you've turned it into a full-time job. So what advice would you offer that wantrepreneur who's looking at Josiah tonight and saying, man, I can do that, but what advice do you offer?
My advice would be two pieces. Number one, I'm 29. I'm very young. But I made sure I knew what I was doing before I got into things. I went to school at a business college. I got a degree in entrepreneurship. I wanted to make sure I knew what the laws were, what I was going to be getting into, what complications could arise before I actually started. So getting educated is my first piece of advice. Know what you're getting into. The second piece of advice is taking the plunge. You need to be ready to go in with as much fervor as you can. And you have to look at the situation realistically, but you also need to be a bit brave. Nobody ever finds success without being a little brave, and that's very important.
And if I had to add a third thing, I'd say have a supportive spouse, right?
Absolutely. My wife is definitely the reason why this has been able to work so well, because of her love and support.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I love it. And so you got any trade shows coming up?
Yes, we do. We actually have Collect Fest this weekend. That's going to be this Saturday and Sunday over in Dallas. And a couple weeks after that, we're going to be in Arlington Comic Fest.
Okay.
So that's here actually in Arlington.
Here in Arlington.
Not at this studio, obviously.
Right, absolutely. And so when you show up, you normally have a booth where people can come and can they actually pick up the product and test it?
Absolutely. We tell people all the time, we're not a museum. You can pick them up, look with your hands, the thing that your mom always tells you you're not allowed to do. You can wave them around. And we have several demo sabers that people can actually play with, change the colors, whack around a little bit as long as they're careful. They can actually feel it in their hands and touch it and see what they want. And
awesome.
The only difference between them is just how they look.
Okay. And by the way, you've got a couple that he's got offset. We're going to be playing with this during the commercial break here. Stephanie and I are going to take on each other and see who wins. So Josiah, thanks so much for coming in. Stick around. This is Create, Build, and Manage Daily.